Welcome to Talking Grit, a Detroit Lions podcast. Powered by the Monroe County Reporters. Here are your hosts, Jason Harwood and Jacob Litton.
Welcome to Talking Grit. I'm Jason Harwood. We got Jacob Litton here with all his smart comments. He's not broken. Riverside is, Jacob's not. So we are live here on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Obviously, you can catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. As a reminder, if you guys are enjoying the podcast, please give us a review, subscribe, hit that notification so that you know when we go live. We got lots to talk about today. I mean, I'm talking a lot. Obviously, the Kerby Joseph stuff just dropped, so we got plenty to talk about with that. The NFL draft is tomorrow, of course, so we're going to run through some mock draft simulators and just get everyone's thoughts on who we should pick, why we should pick them, who do we not want to pick, what would be the best scenarios for the Lions. And to help us out is our good friend Morgan Cannon from the Pride of Detroit. It's been a little bit since you've been on, so how have you been doing?
What's up, guys? Yeah, thanks for having me. I've been doing good, just we're expecting in July, so doing stuff around the house, doing stuff, having fun. We went on a walk today. The weather was nice in Detroit. I don't know about where y'all were. It was like 65 and like nice little breeze. It was gorgeous, man. So, but yeah, exciting times in the city, man. I'm excited that we're getting to talk about all of it. There's just so much going on, and a lot of it is really good.
Yes, exactly. So I think what you're talking about, a lot of it going on in the city. Let's talk about the Pistons. I know it's the Lions podcast, but we're going to talk about the Pistons a little bit up front here. We gave one away on Saturday, but on Monday we got our revenge on. So how you feeling about that series going on right now, Morgan?
Really good, man, because to be honest with you, I just wanted one of those two in New York. Like that was the goal for me. And like when they almost had it in the first game, and then honestly, I think their just lack of experience bit them square in the butt a couple times, because you went from 98 to 90 to what it was like 11 to 98 just in the blink of an eye. And then they beat them up a little bit, man, in game 2. So I couldn't be more excited. I'm not going. I don't think, are y'all going you're not going Thursday. Are you all going Sunday?
Nope, not gonna go. I would love to be there. I would love to be there, but
you almost have to pick in this economy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know we all go to Lions games. It's tough to swing both.
I know,
right?
It is very
in the
tough.
Playoffs, at least.
I would love to be there on Thursday. So Jacob and I will be at the draft at Ford Field. I know that originally, Morgan, you were planning on doing that, but what are you guys doing instead?
We are hanging out at my boy's house. He has a nice little basement set up over there in Madison Heights. Actually, it's Troy. I don't know. The suburbs confuse me. I think it's Troy. But we just have several pregnant people in the group, and like several small children. So we just decided to do it at home this year. And with the Lions game going, or the Pistons game going, excuse me, I wanted to have access to both. And I have to write a little bit, so I'm going to take the computer and figure it out there whenever. Hopefully things happen. Hopefully, Brad will trade up and make it easier for us.
Yeah, right.
That'll be awesome. Yeah, I was thinking about you when the Pistons game got announced. I was like, oh, that worked out good for Morgan, because he'll be able to watch the game. Now they did. I don't know if you saw this, Morgan, or not. So I got the plan ahead email you get from the Lions when you sign up for this activity. They said the Lions game is going to be played in the concourse and around different areas of the stadium. So they are going to have simultaneously having draft coverage, but also Pistons game going to be on. So you'll be able to check it out while you're in the stadium. Obviously, we'll have our phones too.
That was my concern, is that it was going to be hard to find. I was like, I got to get a big screen, especially in Detroit, downtown and everything. The vibe for the city tomorrow. It's like, they've got to put this on a big screen down there.
100%.
It pains me to not be at Little Caesars Arena for that first game. I've been suffering for so long. Morgan, I've been trying to get Jason, like, you got to watch basketball. He was like, I don't, the new age basketball. Jason's mad that the shorts aren't as short as they used to be. He's mad they invented the 3-point line.
The shorts are getting shorter again, to be honest with you.
Well, now he's watching. He started watching this year.
Exactly.
He didn't know.
They got to be John Stockton short. I don't watch.
The shorts are getting shorter. Back in my day, man, them things are long. But yeah, now they're short again. The kids like them short. But now, and it's cool for, I know you're a Detroit guy, Jason, but if you like old school basketball, because even my old man texted me, he was like, oh, the Pistons are fun to watch. And I was like, of course you like them. Because they beat the heck out of people and they're tough as you know what, man. So it's fun to watch, and they're babies, man. Like all the core players, like the Lions are young, the Pistons are like toddlers. Like all those guys are. Like
isn't Ron Holland like 19 years old still?
Yeah, I mean Jalen Duren was like 18 for up until like December of his rookie year. I remember like seeing him in person. I'm like, this is an 18-year-old.
Yeah, right.
He's like 6'10", cut out of stone. Can jump out of the building. I'm like, that must be nice. So, but yeah, it's so exciting, man. And then the Tigers are balling. Like, it's just great time to be a Detroit sports fan. I know.
Yeah. We'll get to some of this at the very end. Got AJ Hinch soundbite that I think just sums up Detroit sports so well. It gives me goosebumps thinking about it. So we'll talk about that at the end. I'm with you on the physicality of the Pistons. So it reminds me of when you were allowed to touch someone and, and have some physical contact, because I think that's lacking. There's more than just shooting threes. However, Jalen Brunson needs to go.
Right.
Needs to go.
He's not the only one that operates like that either. Jacob will tell you. Jacob, I know you watch a lot of basketball. Unfortunately, his approach to offense isn't new.
There's too many people that do that. Yeah, but especially, like the pump fake, and then you try to shoulder to make the contact. Dude. And, it got to a point in the last game where it was like every single drive, every single time they touched the ball, that's all he was doing is just trying to get a foul. I don't know, and then for the Knicks to be talking about the fouls afterward as if it was like somehow unfair, like unbelievable.
I'm surprised he doesn't get whiplash from all the flailing he does. And I'll be honest, like they were calling some ticky-tack stuff, but like they're letting him play. Although some of the stuff on Asar, because like he's putting Brunson in, man, because Asar is probably terrible to deal with as an offensive player. And but yeah, I got so mad when Brunson held up those 6.
Yeah, right.
I was like, you little goofball, man.
Yeah,
that made me mad.
A terrible look.
Yeah, you're a turd.
Yeah, I don't like that. I like because Asar was beating him to the spot so many times, and he would just like bury his shoulder in and then throw his arms back and like wonder. And I hate the late whistle too. Like you think you've gotten a turnover, and then because the guy fell, that they decide to blow the whistle. Like if Jalen Brunson wouldn't have fell, then they would have just let the play roll on. But he falls on the ground and he's looking at the official. It's annoying. That part I don't like.
My hate for Jalen Brunson, Jason knows this, dates back to the fact he's from Villanova. And I have a grudge against Villanova and all their players.
Listen,
after the Wolverines and, just, yeah.
Yeah.
So, the hatred is deep already. So
I get many articles in my text like, did you see this? Jalen Brunson thinks that he should get more foul calls. And, it just followed by, expletive Jalen Brunson. That's what it followed by. All right, let's move on to the big news. Just dropped a couple hours ago. Kerby Joseph signs a record deal, highest paid safety in the history of the NFL, 4-year, $86 million. Morgan, going to start with you. What was your first reaction when you saw that?
Beautiful. Needed to happen. First team All-Pro, 17 interceptions in 3 years. He's just a turnover machine. It's like the prototypical rangy free safety you want, patrolling the back third, like he's just awesome. So he had the bumps, and there were some bumps in the roads in 2023, but context always matters, man. That secondary was kind of a mess. There was a lot of cycling in and out of the lineups, like as far as the safety next to him. So, and then look, he played next to Brian Branch all of 2024, first team All-Pro, 9 interceptions. So yeah, this was step one, right? Like I would love to see, this followed by the Hutch extension, followed by picking up JMO's 5th year. Let's just do it all. Here we go. What about you, Jacob?
I mean, this was expected, but it was interesting that happened the day before the draft. I was hoping to have this done ahead of time, but the news was surprising. I didn't know. Jason texted me, so you saw Kerby's deal. I've been at baseball all night. I had no idea. I've been out of the loop. No, but that's awesome. And it just fits. He resets the market. Antoine Winfield, I think, was like just over 21. And now Kerby's average annual is 21.5. That just slots in exactly where it's supposed to go. So I'm 100% on board with it. Cool. Lock him in. There's going to be, of course, more questions now from people about, can we afford this player? Can we afford that player? Does that change who we're drafting? I mean, I'm not worried about any of that.
No, I mean, Brad Holmes pretty much, basically said, we're re-signing this guy. There was, when he got the JMO, it was very wishy-washy about, exciting extension. But Kerby, it was like almost a foregone conclusion that this was going to happen. So this doesn't surprise me. Timing was a little weird, like the day before the draft. I kind of surprised that they wanted to announce it before the draft, because does it take safety off the board? What does, I don't think it does, but, will other teams think that? I don't know, but it's kind of an interesting timing on the issue. Kerby just threw out the first pitch of the Tigers game on Tuesday. He loves Detroit. Detroit loves Kerby. I'm happy for the guy. He showed, I know he's had the lead league in safeties, but he also showed the willingness to come up and hit and get his nose dirty last year, which was a big improvement over previous years. I think he just learned what it was to be safety, especially a safety for the Detroit Lions, and what the team expects from him. And I know he gets the rap of a dirty player, but that's unfounded in my opinion.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. The thing I've always said with Kerby, because he was a converted receiver at Illinois, right? So he's a receiver. I think he got recruited as an athlete, played receiver early on, made the transition to safety. So he's always been willing to tackle. It just wasn't always, like proper technique, proper angles. And the other thing is, he's a big physical, like if you've been around him, like close to him, like he's a big dude. He's got big old hands. He's just like a big, like densely built athlete. So when he would tackle with like improper technique and kind of just were like lunging at people, then, that's how injuries happen. But that's prevalent all across the NFL with a lot of DBs, to be honest with you, because it's tough to tackle in this league. So yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Like being willing is the biggest thing, but they're really paying him. The reason he's the highest paid safety in the NFL now is because the turnovers, man. That's how what gets you paid. Like yep. 2024, he took it to. He's always been, really good ball skills. He's always around the football, but 2024 it jumped off, right?
Yeah, I think turnovers can be a weird thing. I think the way the defense sets up is they set their safeties up to score, to get turnovers more than their cornerbacks. And, with the man defense and just that's how they set it up. And to have someone that can convert those into turnovers, those are game-changing plays. Those are plays that win a game. And, I don't expect those. I mean, I don't think he's going to lead the league in interceptions every year, but I think the turnovers are going to be there. It's been consistent. I know last year was a big jump, but he's had turnovers in his first 2 years. So it's not like it was 0 or 1 or 2 interceptions and all of a sudden he led the league. No, this is just shows the growth of Kerby. He was also in position so much more last year, and there weren't free runners in the back, in the back end of the defense that you would see in the first couple of years. He just grew as a player, and I think the Lions said, you know what, this is the guy that we want to hitch our wagon to, and I'm okay with that.
100.
Yeah, and I think he got back to playing within the confines of the defense. 2023. Yes. I think he knew things were bad. On a multitude of levels, right? Like when they were, who was playing outside corner at times, communication. There was like a lot of cycling in and out of their lineup. There was C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Tracy Walker. Then Brian Branch was going, between nickel and safety and trying to figure things out. So, yeah, it was just good to see him get back to playing because he's a really smart player. You can tell just like watching him on tape, like his eyes are rarely ever out of place. Like he's always, where he needs to be. And if you do that, you're going to get takeaways, to your point, Jason, excuse me.
Yeah, I think what you kind of said there earlier, it's about trusting the guy next to you. And like maybe 2 years ago, he couldn't do that. But last year, you had Terrion. I know that, the first half of the year looked wonky with Terrion, but you could trust him to be on his man. He wasn't letting people go. He was getting handsy and probably playing too tight. But at least you knew he was going to be on his man. And obviously Carlton Davis, was one of the top corners last year, in my opinion, and you knew he was going to be in position. So that just allowed Kerby and Brian to be out there, reading the quarterback's eyes and making a proper jump on the ball.
And we're hoping for a lot of the same this year, right? Hoping that DJ just slots in where Carlton was, and we're keeping the ball rolling here.
Exactly. And you're hoping year two Terrion to make a big jump. And yes. I think that's going to happen. What do you think about that, Jake or Morgan? We haven't talked to you about, anything since free agent. We had DJ Reed signing in here. I mean, the Terrion jump, do you think that that's going to be substantial this year?
Yeah, I think so. Because Terrion, excuse me, to your point, Jason, it's never like he was out of phase even. He's always right there. And he's, step for step, he just gets a little handsy at the moment of truth, a little jittery, but he got better as the season wore on. So that kind of set me up. I have pretty, lofty expectations for Terrion going into year two. And then, to my opinion, with DJ outside, you're going to be able to shift Amik or Ennis. I think you're going to have competition, in my opinion. That's who will be your nickel starter day one, either Amik Robertson or Ennis Rakestraw. I'm going to probably lean Amik, but either way, Rakestraw can back up either of those positions. And I think that secondary will just be better from a year of experience with each other, because in my opinion, Reed and Carlton are similar, same tier players, very good, borderline, all pro, Pro Bowl, however you want to phrase it. So yeah, I think it'll just be better just off of a little bit more experience and another year playing with each other.
Yeah. Are you on board with that, Jacob?
Well, yes, 100%. He'll have a couple takeaways of his own next year.
I hope so. Yeah. I really hope that he gets one early on just to get that, off his back, and then he can just play how he should be playing.
Right.
But like you said, though, Jason, it's like their scheme too. If they're going to play a lot of man again, it's, it's the safeties making those interceptions for the most part, because a lot of the times the corner's going to have his back turned. He's in phase and he's playing through the receiver's hands. So if he just cuts down on DPIs next year, shoot, we'll be cooking, because like you said, when you turn on his tape, he's always the receiver probably can smell his breath most of the time. He's always right there, so
yep. Yeah. And after week 11, I mean, his PFF grade went way up, and obviously the penalties went way down. I mean, that's probably why the PFF grade went up, but also he just learned, just to be in position. And there was times where early on, he wasn't even looking at the ball. You could tell he was just eye on the man, and his hands just got out of place. But then he started to turn, and you could say, I'm making a play on the actual ball. That'll turn into turnovers, or at the very least, pass breakups. And,
exactly.
I'll take that. Get your hand on the ball. Don't let them get first down. Don't let them get touchdowns. So it'll be interesting. I cannot wait for camp. I cannot wait to see them line up. I know the draft hasn't even hit, but I'm, they announced the Hall of Fame game. So now we're going to get Lions football in July, which is
right.
Pretty sweet deal. Have you ever been to the Hall of Fame, Morgan?
I think as a kid, my family said, but I don't remember it, so I'm going to say no. So yeah, okay. The only thing is, though, I was like, that's going to be 3 weeks after my baby's born. So
that's going to be tough.
Right.
We will see. I would like to get there, but we'll have to see on that one.
Jacob and I went as an adult with my brothers. We went as a family type thing. As an adult, we were all adults, and it was very cool. And I was thinking my boys are getting to the age where they can appreciate some of the Hall of Fame stuff. So I was like, man, we could maybe couple this. It's on a Thursday, which makes it a little tough with my work stuff. But Jacob's in the similar boat that I am. That would be a good trip. Canton's definitely drivable distance for us. And you can go, his son likes the Dolphins, but, you can go check out plenty of that stuff in the Football Hall of Fame, and then go watch the Lions play. I mean, get your football in July, which will be great.
No, that's amazing. July 31st?
Yeah, July 31st.
Awesome. Let's go.
3 months.
My only thought was we got, an injury riddled team last year, and now we're going to make them play an extra preseason game. Let's just get through that healthy, I guess.
Well, the good thing is none of them will play. Don't worry.
Right. Yeah. Right.
No.
Nobody's going to play. Everybody, you'll see Jared Goff and everybody else, but they'll be in the little Lions tracksuits on the sideline eating sunflower seeds and hot dogs.
Yeah. We will not see Jake Fromm play either, because he was cut by the Lions today. So see Kyle, it'll be the Kyle, and Hendon Hooker and Kyle Allen will be playing a vast majority of that game.
Yep, no doubt.
My bet is going to be Kyle Allen.
Another quarterback they're going to get off the UDFA list here that they're going to bring into camp. Yeah, because that's going to be so early. That's barely the beginning of camp. So it'll be cool though, nonetheless. Like you said, will I watch every second of it? You bet.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have a podcast about it. I know that
Right.
for a fact,
Yeah,
and people have ridiculous takes, and we'll just give our normal,
measured responses.
Yeah, exactly. But it'll be just nice to see football again, because by that time, Tigers are going to be in full swing. They're going to have that division locked up by the end of July, right, Jacob? We're going to be just waiting for playoffs.
We're just coasting until October.
Amen.
Yeah, just that's what I'm imagining. No, these Guardians just keep winning, and that's going to be tough. Yeah, it's okay though.
It's a long season.
It is a long season, but I'd rather have someone on my tail. I really do. And I think the Lions, Lions and the Vikings last year, I would have liked it not to be necessarily that tight, but I think Dan Campbell's right. I think that there is some truth to just having someone on your heels and just being on your A game and not being able to coast. And then that way, I know it didn't work out for us because in the playoffs, it didn't translate, but I truly believe that I'd rather be on my A game all the time than, because this team's built to deal with the pressure. So I don't think they had anything to do with that, and I don't think that bothered them at all. But I don't know. Off on a tangent here, Tiger tangent. It's baseball season. I just love baseball. All right, Morgan, you and Miko did a video on the Jameson Williams trade talk, whatever that's going on. That was kind of before this Twitter storm that went up about following, unfollowing, and all this stuff. So it didn't have any of that in there. So if you want to see that video to get Morgan and Miko's take, it's a very good video on Jameson Williams, why we should not trade him. It's on YouTube on the Pride of Detroit channel. So I do recommend you seeing that. So you've seen all the Twitter stuff this week. I'm gonna start with you, Jacob, first. What's your thoughts on all the stuff that that came out this week? And do you believe that there's any shot at all that we would trade Jameson Williams?
I believe that it is ridiculous garbage that I'm reading again. And it's usually around JMO, right? It's always something going on. It's what are we talking about? Why, what would be the positives of exploring a trade right now? And there's nothing that you could get. I mean, I know you're wanting to talk about that in a minute, but I don't think there's any truth to it. The only thing that kind of caused a red flag for me was they said that JMO had unfollowed the team. Well, I don't keep track of who follows who, and nobody else does either. They're just looking, you go to his Instagram page, you search and see if he's following the Lions. Turns out he wasn't. So then everybody just took that. Plus the trade rumors and everything, it's always something surrounding JMO. This time it was not his fault, though.
I agree. True. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, he was at OTAs. As far as if someone came with a crazy offer, I think they'd consider it. But like you said, Jacob, he's on it's cost controlled this year. It's his 4th year. His 5th year option's only $15 million for 2026. They have 5 more days, whether they want to pick that up or not. I think they're going to do that because, there can be long-term talks about roster construction and him being paid in 2 or 3 years. But right now, man, this team is a Super Bowl caliber team, and Jameson Williams makes your offense scary. The offense would be really good, by itself. There's playmakers everywhere, right? But if you adding Jameson, it stretches and stresses out defenses so much vertically and horizontally. It just makes life much easier for everybody else. So,
yeah, there's no way they're trading him this season. I can't see it. Yeah, I won't say. I do think though next year that they could decide, depending on what they draft this year, whatever happens, in the draft next year, I could see a situation that we decide to cut bait with them, TJ Hawkinson. The Lions just traded him, try to get some draft assets because, I think Brad Holmes had decided we're not going to pay TJ Hawkinson. I think he decided that, whether I don't know if it was necessarily the person, the player, whatever. He just decided that player is not worth, not going to be able to make on the team. And I don't think it has anything to do with Jameson, the person, or anything he's done in the past, as far as whether they're going to want to sign him or not. It's a matter of, can we have 2 $30 million receivers on this roster, or wide receivers are very plentiful in the draft. And so can we get someone and then that can, do what JMO does. And I could see them drafting a wide receiver now, letting him gel with Goff for a year, and then then they decide. Then they decide, if we can get in a first round, if we can get, I don't know what they can get for JMO next year, but because it'll only be 1 year, they could definitely get more for him now because they'd have 2 cost-controlled years of a very high-level wide receiver. Like you said, $15 million in the year 5 if we pick him up. That's a bargain for someone of JMO's caliber. And that's why it's a no-brainer.
Receivers, right. The other receivers in that draft class, I think almost all of them have already had their options picked up. The good ones anyway, right?
There's a lot of them in that class too.
Right.
So, yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I do think they'll pick it up just because this is a win. This is a championship caliber team, championship caliber roster right now. And I think you want to keep Jameson just because like having him and Jameer on the field at the same time has to be terrible to deal with as a defensive coordinator because they're both like, if you take one step wrong or you read one key wrong and you're a step slow, it could be 70 yards. And then JMO's doing an obscene gesture in the end zone.
Right.
That's how quickly it happens.
Yeah. So we all decided a trade's not going to happen, but let's just say let's go down the avenue that it's going to happen. What would it take for you, say you're Brad Holmes, Morgan, what would it take for you to not hang up the phone right away? Like, what would it take for you to think, okay, I might trade him?
A 1 or 2 day twos would probably start the conversation. If a team was like, hey, we'll give you our second and our third, or like a second this year and a second next year, something along those lines. I'm like, well, let's, talk, because that's something I'm like, oh, okay. But, or a 1.
Yeah.
Although I don't, but like you said, though, the receivers are so plentiful. It's like, would someone trade a 1? Like, would the Patriots be like, yeah, we'll part with our 1 this year to get Jameson Williams? But I love Jameson. I don't want that to happen, but yeah.
That's why I don't think it's going to happen, just because he's way more valuable to the Lions than he is to any other team. And I just don't see someone giving up draft assets. For me to talk about it, they could package JMO and our first round pick this year, and then we would move up. Maybe we draft Golden or something like that, and then get another, like a second for next year. I mean, that would be where the conversation would start with me. I don't think I want to trade him, but Jacob,
say it again. What you just said. You said we would package JMO and a first?
JMO and our 28th to move up in the top 10 this year.
And then draft Golden. And that's what you just said?
Yeah, something like that. But I just don't. And then get another, like a second round pick.
Okay. In my opinion, I can't work out in my head a logical trade that would make sense for both sides. I just don't think it exists.
Yeah. Because,
the first round thing, if you're trying to give a team's offering a first round pick for JMO straight up, what spot are they in and what wide receiver are we looking at to replace him then? I mean, you got to be sure about the guy. There would have to be something happening on draft night, and I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, it would. You're gambling. Like, is Matthew Golden going to be Jameson Williams? Like, and we know it takes Goff a little bit of time to get comfy with receivers too. So I don't want to start slow. Maybe in 2 years we have this conversation. And yeah, like you said, Jason, the compensation will be a little bit less because the cost control values will be gone. But like, you know what I mean? Maybe there'll be a Lombardi in Detroit, and that's all we care about, right? So
yes,
right.
I'm good on that for the most part. Like, I get the conversation and I understand the thought process, but I do think too many people are getting into this, like, this or that conversation. And I look at the Eagles, man. Like, they got 2 highly paid receivers, the highest paid running back in football, a really highly paid quarterback. Lane Johnson has been a highly compensated right tackle. They've had, Mailata. They had Jason Kelsey forever. They just paid Cam Jurgens. There's a way to do it. So you know what I mean? Like, let's see, because I do agree. Like, it would be tough to keep him long term, and especially because I want to keep Jahmyr Gibbs long term too. Like, I think he's super special. Like, maybe generational. So yeah, it's a tough conversation, but I don't think it's one that we need to have right now. To y'all's point.
Yeah, I think this all goes back to, the gun thing with JMO, the betting, and, him taking longer. I think that there's some people that just have it out for him, and then they're going to bring up these conversations. There's no way it benefits the Lions this year to trade JMO. It's going to be a detriment. And we're, like you said, Morgan, we're a Super Bowl caliber team. why would you mess that up? It's not like it's saving money right now anyways to like you do your cap. I mean, it makes zero sense unless the Lions know something about JMO or something that's going to come out that we don't know. There'd be no way. I just don't see how it benefits anybody.
Can you imagine the distraction it would be all summer if they don't pick up his option and then we do draft a receiver like round 2, round 3?
My God.
That's all we would hear about. And they have everything he does under a microscope. It would just be terrible for him and terrible for us.
That's a good point, Jacob.
There's no way they're not picking up that option for $15 million. There's zero chance.
Doesn't make sense not to,
that.
Right?
Yeah,
no, because we've already compared. Like he's in, Sutton out of Denver. That's what he makes. I mean, he's way above any of those people getting paid that amount, and that's
right.
2 years for. I mean, that's not this season. That's next season, and that's only going to change. People are going to be getting paid higher. He's going to be at a super bargain at $15.5 million. So it's just going to happen. But that trade talk could happen next year. But it's totally misplaced this year. I'm ready to wrap up on that. Let's run some mocks. Let's run some mock drafts. You guys ready for that?
Let's do it.
All right. So I'm going to share this on the screen, but if you're, listen to audio, we'll explain everything, as we go along. So you're not going to be missing out on anything. But if you want to see the visuals, you definitely, ready to join us on our YouTube. This will be up. So we're only going to do the first 3 rounds. We're not going to get crazy and do 7-round mocks. Maybe Morgan's good enough for that. Jacob's probably good enough for that. I'm not into the draft. I don't know the draft that deep. So I'm going to be kind of running the mocks. I'll explain who's available and stuff like that. And I'm going to mostly have Morgan and Jacob just kind of run through their thoughts. So this will be our way of talking about the players that we're interested in and, and just our thoughts on who's available. And we'll kind of look at also the teams in the division just to see, who they picked up and just some thoughts on them. So going to run this first one's going to be on NFL mock draft database, and we're going to Lions first pick obviously is number 28. If we get offered a trade, we may talk about it, but most of these trades in these simulators are kind of ridiculous, so I think that we probably won't use any of those. But I'm going to go ahead and get started here. They have Sanders going number 1
instantly. Shadur Sanders number 1 wrong.
Oh my goodness.
I know exactly.
I just saw Derek Harmon flash top 10, I think.
Yeah. Zaraku just went. All right. So we are up. We were offered from the Saints, we were offered pick 40, pick 93, and then next year's round 7 for our first round pick.
Can you look at the board while this is up or no?
So I could close it off and I could see who's available on the board. So we can go through them. There's 3 trades that we were offered. The next one is ridiculous. Round 6, 208, and then a bunch of picks for next year. And then, so the only one I would seriously consider is the Saints offer. They offered pick 40, pick 93, and then next year's round 7 for our pick 28. But we could look and see who's on the board. Maybe that'll change your mind. So I won't reject any of those until we look here.
Take a little look-see here.
So, just names that I'm seeing off the bat. Josh Simmons, offensive tackle for Ohio State. You got Kenneth Grant, who I personally like, defensive line from Michigan. I'm sure Morgan's eyes light up when I say Gray Zabel's available at number 28. And, the running back, we won't draft this, but this is just to show he slipped. Marion Hampton, the running back out of North Carolina. Some people have him going pretty high, too. Tyler Booker's available, out of Alabama. Emeka Egbuka is available, wide receiver out of Ohio State. I do like him. Someone mocked this cornerback in the first round, Maxwell Harrison, cornerback out of Kentucky. So I've seen that. You also got Donovan Jackson, the offensive lineman out of Ohio State's available. Is there any other positions you guys want me to look at?
No, you're down far enough. I mean,
okay.
Here's the deal. If this is the scenario right now, you've got Walter Nolan, you've got Kenneth Grant, you've got Gray Zabel. I don't think you can go wrong with any of those 3 players right there.
So who'd you pick?
Well, for the value-wise, if we're talking about the trade, if we're getting, we're trading, we're losing this pick, but we're getting a 2, we're getting a 3. What were the draft pick numbers again?
40 and 93. And then a round 7, which that's...
So you're 12 picks away, then you'd be looking further down, like Donovan Jackson or something like that. I think if I'm in this position right here, then I'm taking Gray Zabel.
You're taking Gray Zabel? All right. What are you at, Morgan?
What do you got, Morgan?
I like Nolan or Gray Zabel would be good. Mm-hmm. I really like Walter Nolan. I like Kenneth Grant too, but I'm almost like, could we accept that trade and get Kenneth Grant or like Tyler Booker at 40? But you never know. But I'd be good with either or, like either Zabel or Walter Nolan. I know Josh Simmons is a dog too.
I know.
I'm not sold on Josh Simmons, man.
Why is that, Jacob? What's your hang up on him?
Something about seeing the fit, being able to, rotate where he needs to rotate and play multiple positions. I don't see it.
Yeah, I get that. I just he could be a tackle long term, like if they end up putting Manu on the inside. But I'm good with I want to go. I like Walter Nolan too, but I'm like the Gray Zabel would be awesome because I think Gray Zabel could compete for one of the guard positions right now, and then eventually be a successor to Frank Ragnow.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm good. Let's go Gray Zabel.
You want to go Gray Zabel? The only thing I'm going to add in on Josh Simmons that you guys haven't mentioned yet is this seems like a Brad Holmes special. Guy gets it to be a top 10 pick if he's not injured. Certainly top 15 if he's not injured, and so he's gonna slip. And now, he could, I could just see Brad Holmes rationing this way. We're getting a really top player, and he's multiple positions. Now, he could play, I know he's a tackle, but Morgan, he could play inside, right? If we needed him to play guard this year?
Yeah, I think so. I think he could end up playing some guard. But, like you said, coming off the injury.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a good athlete. Definitely, like, it's someone who has some, like, serious upside if you can. And someone I always trust is Hank Fraley, man. That man has shown he is one of the best, if not the best, offensive line coach in football.
Yeah, so I think the rationale is here. Okay, well, maybe we don't. I mean, if you're happy with Graham and you trust Mahogany, you could say, well, Josh Simmons could come in and try to compete for that guard spot, and then maybe by the end of the year he unseats Graham. And then next year you're thinking, well, Taylor Decker is gonna get a big paycheck, and maybe at that point you might look at him as a tackle. So I could see that. Well, we'll go with Gray Zabel. Is that okay with you, Jacob?
I'm on board with that.
All right, so we're gonna go with Gray Zabel. Leaving Kenneth Grant, not clicking on him is hurting my feelings, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, right.
All right. So Hampton just went.
Grant went.
Yeah.
My only thing, if we could have tried to pause, or if it was a little bit slower, if we could make our own trades.
Yeah, you can do that, but also that's like
it'd take too much time.
So here's a trade that's offered. So we're up to our pick 60. We'll go through the players that are available. I'll click back, but just so you guys know, offered pick 66. So you jump back 6 spots, but you pick up a 4th rounder, 133, and then a 7th rounder. Which is negligible, but you would pick up 66 and 133 by moving back 6 spots. So you pick up that 4th rounder, but we can look and see who's available, see what you guys think. So, player that, Darius Alexander out of the defensive line out of Toledo's available. Xavier Watts, Notre Dame safety. Let's see who
Jonah
else.
Kid. Oh, man. But we just took Zabel. Otherwise, I really do Jonah.
Right. I like Jonah, but
then
scenario.
And Tate Ratledge. I know that Eric really likes Eric Schlitt really likes Tate Ratledge.
Yeah.
He's available too, but like you said, we just took Gray Zabel, so that's a tough thing is you don't know who's going to be available later on when you're picking. Any positions you guys want me to just bring up? Just
look at the edge guys real quick.
Okay, let's see edge guys. Landon Jackson. Josiah Stewart out of Michigan.
He's somebody that met with the Lions several times.
He did.
But they've got him ranked 81. So, I mean, maybe in this scenario, if we take that trade and move back, we could still get him.
You could. Yeah. So, I mean, is there any other positions you want me to look at, Morgan?
I also see where Darius Alexander's still there, right?
Yeah, he was towards the top, I think. Yeah, right there.
Oops.
Right.
Yeah. Darius Alexander. What's your thoughts on him, Morgan? Do you have any?
I like him a lot. I think he's a Like, if Levi goes off this year and gets paid, I think Darius is someone who could slide in right next to Aleem. If you want to go back to 2-3 techniques, there's a bunch of ways you could do it. But I think he's awesome, man. I really, really like him when I watch his tape.
Now, is he mostly run stopper, or does he have some pass rush? I don't know enough about him to speak intelligently about it. So is that what has he got to offer?
Yeah, he's tough to move off the ball. He's, strong lower body, violent hands, will like slip some gaps, and you can play him at 3 tech. I think you could kick him out to the big end too. I think he'd come in and be a part of the rotation right away and provide you a little bit more juice. So that might be, if we do stay put, Darius Alexander might be my pick. But I also, if you wanted to move back and see, what you could get to, that might be something.
I mean, that fits a need. I think that's somebody else. He met with the Lions, right? I think I saw that maybe that was at the combine. Yeah. I mean, I'm right by Toledo, so that's like a homer pick for me.
Yeah.
I like that kid too,
the
man.
only knock on him is how I think I have to look to make sure, but I think he's 25 or 26 years old.
Okay.
So, I mean, he's a little bit older for a rookie. And I don't think he really gets a lot of quarterback pressure, a lot of sacks anyway.
So, I mean, here's the thing.
But he stuffs he fits right in there, DJ Reader.
So here's the thing. We could jump back 6 spots. You got Darius Alexander, you got Stewart that we could, out of Michigan. That could be our edge guy that you could look at. He's probably still going to be on the board. It's hard to tell. Any other positions you want to look at just to see like any wide receivers that you're interested in, or
you can click it just for S's and G's.
We got Trey Harris is the highest ranked wide receiver out of Mississippi. Alec, I don't even know. Ayo Manor.
We met with him, I'm pretty sure.
And let's see, our Shaw would probably be familiar with him since he's got the Stanford connection there. Our new
true
offensive Isaiah Bonds there, if you want to invite some trouble.
Yeah, right. What are you thinking, Jason? I mean, I would like the Darius pick there, but
I would. So my thought is, okay, if we're going to stay here, we're going to take Darius. I like the idea of having him. He probably provides the most value at this pick. If we wanted to jump back and hopefully either Darius is still available 6 picks later, or you could go with Stewart out of Michigan. That'd be my backup on that.
Who's picking behind us? Scroll up.
We would have Washington, Buffalo, Kansas City's picking. They must have 63 and 6. Then Philadelphia, and then the Giants, and then we'd be up.
Up to y'all, really. I think
Washington might take him. I don't know. I was going to say if we trade back and still get Darius.
If you go back and you get that the Stanford receiver too.
Okay.
Because he could be a future, he could contribute this year and then eventually be like the X replacement for Tim Patrick.
Okay. So is he an X receiver then? He's got the height and
more of a big body.
Okay. So you want to accept the trade, and we'll so we're gonna do this, and we're gonna move back 6 spots, and we'll see who. So Kansas City, Jackson, Josiah Stewart just went.
Hey, Darius is still there.
I think he is. So
I don't think we trade back anymore. I would just want to do Darius. Yeah, there's a couple trades out there, but yeah. Yep. No, I will take that. So we're gonna take Darius Alexander, defensive line out of Toledo. I like that connection.
He's a stud, man. Maybe we'll still get one of the receivers we like.
Yeah.
Savania just went. Trey Harris just went.
Yeah. Let's see.
Ayo Manor just.
Yeah, he does Ayo Manor. And we're about to come up. So if we're looking at just at wide receivers, Savion Williams, wide receiver out of TCU. Isaiah Bonds, not going to work out for our team just for personal issues, but everything else is going to be a reach at wide receiver.
Yeah, it's
based on their rankings.
Those guys.
I know that Eric likes Tesla, but I think that is he's going to be a later. He would be a later round pick.
Deeper, I think 4 or 5.
Yep. So we can look and see who's all available here.
Let's see.
Scatterbo.
He just met.
He did.
I don't want another running back though. I mean, he fits, obviously, his attitude and everything and fit the Lions, but...
Ooh, Charles Grant's still there? So the William and Mary kid?
Yep.
I like him a lot.
So
he can play tackle and outside.
Belton out of NC State. He was kind of a sleeper pick.
Let's just see here. He's got Demetrius Knight, linebacker. If we need to, go linebacker. Scatabo, probably. Just seems like a Lion, but not in the cards, I don't think, for us. Let's see, Charles Grant. So if you want to go, that'd be another inside offensive line. I just don't see them doubling on that position. Although Brad Holmes would not surprise me if he beefed up the offensive line and tried to keep it cheap for a little bit. There's Kyle Kennard. I'm not too familiar with him. If we wanted to go edge, out of South Carolina, are you familiar with him at all, Morgan?
Not a ton.
Mm-hmm.
7. I have him listed as a 7-9 tech. So outside.
Okay.
He is 6'4", 254. I don't know a ton about him, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I do not either.
Yep. Yeah, this is why we're not going past round 3. Just so you know, this is the clear, and that's fine. Not all of us can be, Dane Brugler or anything like that. So.
Well, let's lay this out like this. If we were to take, Scatabo, if we're going to go Charles Grant here, if this was, real life, this is what happened, would you be disappointed by the fact that we did not get an edge in the first 3 rounds?
Yeah.
And he just left. This guy can't work his own computer. And he took the draft board with him, so now we're just stuck here.
No. I mean...
the thing about... So if we were to get Charles Grant, too, that's 2 offensive linemen we're bringing in, both small schools. Both kind of unknown about, the level of difficulty, the, talent that they went up against and everything like that, so...
Yeah, we'd have 2 William and Mary offensive linemen on our team with him and Colby. So
yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, there's a connection there. I need to get Eric's grit index up here so I can see which of these.
Yeah, I mean, the linebacker from South Carolina looks pretty. That could be something they could do. He's gonna, he's 6'1", 235, so he's a smaller guy. But
is that Demetrius Knight?
Yeah, Knight Jr.
Okay, yep, I see that. Yeah, man, I'm on board with getting a linebacker.
Yeah,
we talked about that in the last one. I think I was more receptive than Jason, but that's one of those things where there's not a position where they're going to draft that would be an absolute shock.
No, just that's how Brad likes to set up. He can go whichever route he wants to go to.
100%. All right, we are both okay with that.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, so we're back here. So I don't know. Did you guys decide who you were interested in here? I'm
still on the fence. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah.
Man, I don't even know. I don't really like the way the board. If I don't know anything about this wide receiver, so I would be tempted to go with that just because of the rankings they have here. And that's Savion Williams, wide receiver out of TC.
He'd be fun. He's 6'3", 225 or 230, so he's kind of he's going to be someone they can hand the ball off to, do some end arounds, throw him the ball, because he's not going to be fun to tackle.
He's like a Debo.
Large. Yeah.
Okay.
Thickly built athlete, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that wouldn't be the worst thing, but I mean, you can't really. We wouldn't be able to spread him around like that. I don't know if we'd be able to utilize him the same way, but
yeah. Well, I mean, if the board lays out like this, we've already done the, Charles Grant. I just don't see us doing that with Gray Zabel. Although, unless they were thinking about Gray Zabel plays inside this year and then moves to the outside. He played tackle, but I think he's more viewed as inside offensive line. Is that right, Morgan? Or
yeah, his arms aren't the longest, so that's going to be a little concern for people at tackle. But I think he's going to end up projecting more as I think his best position in the NFL is going to be as center. At center.
Okay.
But he logged starts at both tackle and guard at North Dakota State.
Okay. Yeah, I knew that he had some tackle, but I think he was viewed as that's why I kind of like the idea of him. If we're gonna move on from Graham, it gives us a backup Frank. I mean, I think Frank can play for a while. He had one of his healthiest seasons last year, so I'm not one of those people that thinks that he needs to, we need to, Frank's going to retire or anything like that. But it does, if he gets injured, it's nice to have someone on the roster that you could trust to play center.
Yeah, no doubt. Exactly. And you have that in Graham, but, in the future, it'd be nice to, have more, reassurances there. So I don't think you can go wrong. You could even take the Demetrius Knight kid from South Carolina.
Uh-huh.
So I think you just pick one.
All right. Jacob, you got any thoughts, or are we just going ahead?
I'm okay. It's a toss-up for me, so...
You going to let me pick so you can make fun of me? Is that your game?
Depends on who you pick. And I see we're being graded, so that's perfect, too, because then our first two are A and A+, so don't F this up.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, then you got to pick Demetrius Knight, because they'll definitely give you an A if you get the 80th ranked prospect at 102. So we can cheat the system. Let's do that. I don't know too much about him. I don't know if he's gonna, if he's got some edge or rush capabilities. I would like that. And then if we move on from Alex next year, then you move, you can move Barnes back into like the Alex position. If I don't know if Demetrius Knight could play Sam, but I'm gonna go with that.
He's more of like a smaller, like a Will Mike. He's like 6'1", 235.
Okay,
can run. He'll be a good special teamer right away.
All right. So there's our draft. All A's. Gray Zabel, Darius Alexander, Demetrius Knight. Don't know much about Demetrius Knight, so I can't speak to that, but I do like our first two draft picks in this mock.
If you got those two at the top, man, I'd be happy.
Yep. Exactly. And you picked up Darius Alexander and you picked up a fourth in that trade. So we'd have additional fourth. So you have 2 fourths. So, you could also see a situation where, Brad Holmes uses a third and fourth and moves back up and, into higher into the third to get someone that he wanted instead of Demetrius Knight, someone that might have been drafted in that range. So, yeah, I think that's, I'd be okay with that. What about you, Jacob? You good with that?
I would be okay with that. I mean, when you got if we got the first pick fits the need, Gray Zabel, second pick fits the need, Darius Alexander, then the rest of the draft is pretty much best player available. Who can we get to slot in as depth pieces? And then if you're getting a linebacker there, I'm totally on board with that.
All right, cool. Let's run another mock here. Let's use a different, just so we get something different. Well, we'll do the PFF one. I'm going to try that. I think that's this one here.
And does this one now then go by PFF rankings or,
So we could choose. Yeah. So we could choose. There's a public board or a PFF board. So I'm going to go in the center.
Yeah, that's probably good.
And then they have other options here. There's some like randomness. I'm just going to leave that on default. We'll still just do three rounds. I think this one, from what I remember, is a little easier to see the trades.
I like the layout of that, and you can actually
you can actually look at
click it, go towards the slower end, man. This thing goes fast, man.
Does it go real fast?
Yeah, like way down there. There you go.
Okay.
And it'll still be kind of fast.
All right. So this one, Tatora.
Stupid. Invalid.
Yeah. These Cam Ward slips to 7, goes to the Jets. Malachi Starks goes with the Bears. Will Johnson went to Miami, I think.
Yeah.
Matthew Golden goes to the Broncos. Emeka Buko went to the Steelers. The Vikings, the Vikings got Kelvin Banks. The Green Bay got Jalen Walker, the edge or linebacker out of Georgia. So we're up now. We got quite a few guys here that I see that would be good Lions.
Well, so if we're trying to do something different here, we can go with one of the edge Texas A&M guys.
Yeah, well, I think it's no brainer. If Stewart's there, I'm probably pretty interested in that pick.
Yeah,
Gray Zabel's available again, but just we already talked about him, so I'd be. But there's also Nick Skirton, the other edge out of Texas A&M. So we got our choice out of the 2 Texas A&M guys. Do you have a preference, Morgan, out of those 2 guys?
I like Stewart, just more upside, just at least on paper. So yeah, I'd probably run to the podium with. I like Josh Connerly Jr. a lot too, to be honest with you.
The tackle out of Oregon. Okay.
Yeah, the fact that he's there is pretty cool. But at this point, let's get Shamar Stewart because he has some serious upside opposite of Hutch, man.
Yeah. Sanders is still available.
Yeah. So, Tyler Booker, they have him ranked pretty low in PFF.
And we can get him.
It's got to be the range of motion type thing, which I get is a thing, but I also think that Zeiler wasn't the biggest, guy in motion, and he did a fairly good job. So Tyler, and the grit index, I know, Eric's grit index Tyler Berger's like off the chart. He's like pretty much almost got a perfect score.
Yeah. He said he wants to make people quit football. I love that kid too.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's me.
I knew you would like that, Morgan. That is speaking your language. Yeah. I just want people to not like football anymore. When he said that, I was like, my God,
I love a mean-spirited offensive or defensive lineman. If you have like a touch of hate in your heart, that's how you can be really great.
Yeah.
Football, I'm telling you. But yeah, I think I'm good with Shamar, man. Maybe we can get Booker at 60, but I think that's a run to the podium. This is awesome because he's gonna be right, like we talked about with Alexander with the first mock. Shamar will be right. He'll be a part of the rotation from jump.
Yeah. So I know that the argument with Shamar is that the stats didn't really back up everything. So that's the kind of worry on that. With Shamar is that he didn't have a lot of sacks in his time, but yeah, he just seems like a crazy athlete, and just pairing him, like, I think it was like he's one of those guys that just has like a relentless motor, kind of like the Aiden on the other side, right? I mean, that's what I remember reading the descriptions. Am I correct in remembering that, Morgan?
Yeah, he's people aren't going to get on him for his drive and like willingness to like be great. So, and he tested out of this world. I think that's someone who has some, like I said, it could be a really good pairing with Hutchinson and Aleem and the rest of that talent you have going on the defensive front.
Yep. So I'd go with that too. I would get Stewart. Would this get Brian Holmes in trouble for picking too fast? Like his, he doesn't let the clock run down. He just runs up there maybe he runs up with the card himself.
Could.
Yeah. What do you think, Jacob? Are you on board with that?
I'm cool with that. I know he scored pretty low on Eric's great index, but I mean, you hope you got a good team around him, good group of guys, really good defense, good people to play around you. So him being drafted to the Lions would set himself up for success as well.
Yes, I agree. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead with it. So Stewart goes there. So we can see Gray Zabel just goes right afterwards. James Pierce goes to the Chiefs.
Figures.
There's no way the Eagles pick Harrison, a cornerback, not with the young guys that they got there. Donovan Jackson just went. Nick Skirrington went to pick 39.
Skirton and Landon Jackson both just went to the Bears.
Did they? Back to back?
Yeah, I think.
Darius Alexander just went at pick 49, but maybe that's not as much.
Booker might be there.
He did.
Yes.
Did he make it?
I think so.
Did he make?
Or did I lie earlier? I didn't see him.
Let's see. Maybe I didn't see him go either.
Right there,
he did go Cowboys, which makes sense.
A lot of mocks have the Cowboys taking him at 12.
Yes, I know.
And in this one, he's all the way in the second round.
Yeah.
Scroll back up to the top. I didn't see who was.
Okay. So a couple running backs at top. I don't see that. Jalen Royal, receiver out of Utah State. See the halfback and a lot of halfbacks or running backs up top here. First name that I see that jumps out to me is that Tate Ratledge, out of Georgia.
Yep.
I think that coupled with who we picked in the first round, maybe who I would lean to. And we already got our edge, but the edge out of UCLA, the Oladeo is. I think I just said that correct, but I just don't see us doubling up on edge. It's possible, but I just don't see that.
This is Tate for me all day, man. That's
right.
I think he'd plug and play. He'd let him and Graham battle it out, and him and Mahogany. But I think you'd walk away with Mahogany and Tate as your day one starters for guard, and that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Jacob, are you on board with that, or is there another thought you had?
Nope, 100%. Okay. He's a Lions football player. It's the kind of guys we like. So
yeah, man.
Yeah, if I came out with these 2 picks as my picks,
then you've already won.
I've already won the draft, and I'm pretty happy with where I'm at.
Really?
And that's with us not even moving around, which we're going to be moving around. I guarantee that. All right, Tate Ratledge. Now we'll bust up to round 3.
Just pause it real quick.
Let's see. Okay, there we go. Yep.
What picks do we have left? Does it let you look at the board or no? That'd be cool if you could look and see what players are there. If there was somebody that you're eyeing, but
you might. Oh wait, here. No, that gets me out of there. Yeah, that gets me out of there. So no, I don't think you're allowed to see the board.
I was just gonna see if we could work, a trade together, try to figure out if there was a guy we were looking at, what it would entail.
See if we could move. Like, what would they offer? Like, because I mean, at the end of the day, like 196, 228, and 244 to move up to 70. I don't know.
Yep.
See if that works.
Yeah, let's see. Okay.
Or can we keep our 102? No, they probably want it, don't they? But yeah, you can.
Yeah, well, try to lowball them first. Let's see what we.
Let's see here.
Oh, we don't even have a little bit of a. This trade will not be accepted.
Well, I don't even know if that. I don't know how that works there. So yeah, they're not.
Well, if you want to see how it works, put next year's first round pick on it and see if it shows green.
Yep. That will be.
See, right. That's how you know.
They wouldn't accept every draft pick that we have the rest for number 70.
Right.
So 102, 130, 196.
Well, there's your answer. Not happening.
Yeah. So let's just resume this.
It's the Jaguars.
Maybe we'll try it again at 90. Just for the exercise.
Right.
Yep. We'll do that. That's a good idea.
Maybe we get a receiver here if we get lucky. Oh, Xavier Restrepo. Great name, man. That would have been a cool one.
It is all right. So let's see. I'm at 89. Let's see here. So they would take 102 and 130 to move up to 89.
Okay.
So let's just do that. I don't know if I do it in real life, but I just want to
offer and see what they say.
Offer and see what we get. Yep. Now we're on the clock.
All right.
Nice.
So there you go, Jack Sawyer. I know that's your man, Jacob. You love Jack Sawyer, right?
I just don't see the upside that much, man. Like, right. I don't know. Like, I think he could be an okay pro, but people were talking about him in the first round, and I'm like, hold on now, partners. Let's calm down a little bit.
Right. I just don't see it.
The early mocks, they had Jack Sawyer going to the Lions, but that quickly fell apart, and now he's third rounder is where they're projecting, second, third rounder.
So in this draft, we've got Shamar, right? And then we've got Ratledge. So we went edge, we went guard.
Yep.
So are we looking wide receiver here? Or are we?
So yeah, we can do wide. I can look and see what wide receivers are out there. So you got Savion Williams,
Tisla.
Yeah. So they have him marked on PFF. Have him ranked at 111, which is quite a bit higher than the previous service we were using, but he's going around pick 133 in this. Savion is still, like we said, just there.
What's ironic here, looking at these guys, it's like, just trade back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just trade back. We traded up for nothing. I don't know if there's any wide receivers.
The tight end too, you know who I really is that the kid from Bowling Green, Harold Fannin.
Yeah. There's another local.
Yes.
I like he's got some really like interesting traits like in space. And he's like a big body.
Our buddy Zach was texting. He's on a text chain with Jacob and I, and he's really high on Fannin. He really likes this tight end class in general, just because the guy's up top. But yeah, he really liked Fannin as a guy that's available later on in the draft.
Also, I like Horton, the kid from Colorado State.
Okay,
if that would probably be my receiver, out of the ones available right there. But yeah, I think you can't go wrong with either of them.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, we did the trade up thing, but you can't really see the board, so
that's a good exercise.
Exactly.
What linebackers are there? Before we solidify that,
linebackers are. Yeah, I'm not.
No,
nothing in the linebacker room. The highest ranked one's Danny Stutzman, linebacker out of Oklahoma. They got him ranked 110.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, let's get rid of this and just go with the whole board. Jack Sawyer. We got Charles Grant, and they got him listed as tackle William Mary. So you could go double up on the offensive line. Savion Williams is, the highest ranked wide receiver. You got Fannin, who I'm sure if we draft a tight end this high, that'll set off the Twitterverse. I'm sure. But
the thing about Fannin is he's just not a blocking or special team. Like, I don't think he has any value outside of, what he can do on offense as a receiver. That's the only thing I think if we're drafting a tight end, because we have Laporta already, we're not going to draft somebody that's just going to be out there, lining up out wide and not being involved in special teams. And I don't know. I mean, maybe he's willing to do all that, but I just don't think that they really... I mean, they fed him the ball at BG.
He could be someone, though, like, just because they run so many, like, 2 and 3 tight end sets, like, that would... Because him and Laporta can run, and if you could teach him, like, just be a competent enough blocker, like a move blocker, not necessarily, like, blocking, like, defensive ends, like, in line, but, like, some of the stuff they asked Laporta to do, come across the line of scrimmage and kick out a defensive end or a linebacker. Dan did say in the chat, safety. Is there any safeties available?
Sanker was there.
Sanker, that's what I was just about to. Okay. I was just about to say. Sanker is probably my choice. I know we just gave Kerby a ton of money, but we need safety depth, and so that'd be my only other point. I like Sanker, and that'd be my only other thing. We wouldn't have needed to trade up. We could have probably sat back where we're at. But
let's take Sanker then.
I'm okay with that.
Sure.
All right.
Wahoo wah.
There we go. All right. So that's Stewart, Ratledge, and Sanker. I'd be really happy with this draft if that
Absolutely.
happened. Yeah.
People
do you like this one better than the other one then?
So the other one was what? Zabel, there's Alexander, and then what did we get? Savion? Is that who we did for the third pick?
We went linebacker.
Linebacker.
South Carolina kid.
Knight. Okay. I probably like this one a little bit better.
I do too.
The upside of this one, I think, is higher, but the other draft, I think, I don't know. I was going to say the other one may be more of an immediate impact, but I don't know that that's true.
Yeah. I don't know. Having Shamar Stewart, if he turns out, to be able to, if we can get him, just getting productive, I'd be happy with that. Getting Ratledge, having a guard, that'd be good. And then, Sanker at safety just gives us depth there that I think the Lions need.
D- on that grade.
Yeah, it's just because we traded up, man.
It's also the same. Yeah. If you play Madden, if you do a Madden franchise, then it's always like inevitably you get stuck down where it's like, okay, I didn't use any of my scouting points on any of these guys. So then you're just, throwing out whatever name or whatever college they went to. And it's like, oh, congrats, you drafted the number, 400 overall player at pick 30.
Yep. Whoops.
Madden's like, you suck. Thanks.
Yeah, I know. But Preston would want me to help him with the Madden ones. And if I made a pick that Madden didn't like, he just thought I was the stupidest person in the world. And he'd be like, it's just AI, man. It doesn't know anything. Let's just run one last one, but we'll do it real quick. We don't need to go as in depth. I just want to just another run through to see what's out there, but we won't have to, argue about.
You just want to do 2 rounds this one, or?
Yeah, let's just do that. That's a good idea, Jacob. Sure. So I'm going to do the ESPN one, and just so we get another look at what's available and stuff out there. So let's just do normal speed, load draft.
Let's see if this first pick is better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's. We'll see if Cam Ward. Okay, that's
okay. See, the first 5 are all valid. Yeah.
Yeah. Shadir Sanders goes 7 to the Jets. I could see that. Mason Graham slipped all the way down. Was it 10 or something like that?
The Cowboys taking Omari and Hampton is hilarious.
Yeah, right.
That's
and possible. Very possible.
Very on brand. Very. Oh, the Bears took Mike Green.
Yeah, Mike Green, Will Johnson. Yeah. Will Johnson went to the 49ers.
The Bengals getting Loveland would be terrifying. That'd be terrifying.
Yep.
Their offense is going to score so much.
What So Jahad Campbell went number 19. What's your thoughts on him, Morgan? Are you a fan of Jahad Campbell? Say he slips to say he's still on the board at 22, 23. Are you thinking of, would you be willing to move up for him depending on who's on the board? Would be a player that you trade up for?
I'd be willing to have the conversation, man, because he's someone who they'd find ways to get him on the field like they did with Jack Campbell his rookie year. And then he's somebody who could long-term start next to Campbell at the will in the future. He could take reps at the Sam if something ever happened with Derek Barnes while he's on the team.
Okay.
So, yeah, he's easily linebacker 1 in this class for me. I think he is for just about everybody, but yeah, he's a dog.
Yeah, this one, I actually, looking at the picks on this one, I think that this one is much more plausible than what
Williams.
we've seen in the... Yeah, Tyler Booker went ahead, 1 pick ahead. Number 27 went to the Ravens. Josh Simmons, who we talked about earlier, went to the Rams. Nolan, Mikael Williams. Oh man, Miko would be mad. He's so close. Number 24 goes to the Vikings. Harmon.
This would hurt. So if this happens, Derek Harmon goes to the Packers. Sucks. Then you've got Mikael Williams goes to the Vikings, and then you're like, Shamar Stewart's already gone. You're like, just let Booker fall, right? Just let Booker fall, and then the Ravens take him the pick before us.
Yep, I know.
That's a nightmare scenario.
Golly.
Yeah.
Who's left though? Like, where's the?
And let me get here. Okay, so James Pierce is the highest one. Obviously, that's the no-go.
There's your guy right there.
The edge out of Boston College. I know that one is people are. That's the one that probably, just looking right now, is Emeka Egbuka still available. I really like him out of Ohio State. I know he doubles Amon-Ra, but I like that. Kenneth Grant is available.
Right.
Still on Michigan, so I like that. Malachi Starks. He's still there.
Gray Zabel's just
Gray Zabel's on there. They got him ranked pretty low on ESPN, 41, so he's still available.
I'd probably go Ezra here, man. I like Ezra a lot.
If that's the way it fell, then I'm on board with that for sure.
Getting him at 28 is awesome too.
All right, so we'll go with Ezra then. All right.
Some juice off the edge, man. Twitchy, bendy athlete that can just get after people.
James Pierce goes out. Emeka Egbuka went to the Bills. Ooh, man. Kenneth Grant slipped all the way down to 36 with the Jaguars.
You keep scrolling. You keep trying to fight the it's loading.
I know. I was trying to get up. I just wanted to. All right.
Ooh, Ozzy.
So, where are you at, Ozzy? Okay.
Yeah, Trapillo.
You like him, Ozzy? Was it Trapillo?
Yeah, just a giant human. He's 6'8", 316. Definitely going to be a tackle in the future. So I don't know. That's just someone who has, maybe not like drafting him here. I don't know, but yeah, just a good name. Jordan Birch, edge, Jalen Noel.
See, Nick Scurrington went all the way down to, some of these they got him ranked like he's, getting projected early. Yeah. I do what Jalen Noel taught. You know anything about what do you got on him, Morgan? Wide receiver out of Iowa State.
Shifty, could be a returner. But yeah,
he's not as tall.
No, 5'10", 194.
So I know that we're, thinking about X for wide receiver, but this is Khalif's, last year too. And so, and he's getting a little up there in age. You could also think about, not saying that we pick Noel, but I'm just saying a thought in general about the draft is that's another wide receiver that on the roster that, you might be able to think about picking up, and this might be later, someone with, can punt return capabilities and stuff like that.
True. Yeah, that would be some value.
Mm-hmm.
Skirting Landon Jackson, Josiah Stewart.
Oh, we already went edge, and now there's, flooded with some nice edge players right here.
I know, exactly.
Well, Cameron Williams is still there.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, I'd be almost... If this really felt like this, I'd probably go Scurrington. That's probably what I would do. If this truly felt like this, I don't care if we doubled up or not.
No, me neither. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good one. Double up.
I guess Taylor Ratledge was still available. We could have, or he went just a few picks before us. So,
okay.
All right. Yeah. I was going to say,
be thrilled.
I know.
Deep D line room all of a sudden with everybody healthy.
Right.
Yep. All right. So, I mean, if any of those drafts happen, any of those things happen. Unfortunately, like the board is going to fall like that, like the last one that we did. I don't think we're going to have as many choices that we like we got in the first 2 drafts. But if we walked away with Ezeraku, I'd be pretty happy with that.
I'd be thrilled, especially not having to move up.
Yep,
right.
Exactly.
This proves, though, is just that how deep of a draft class, and we just ran 3 different. We end up with a slew of different players, and we were satisfied with pretty much each one.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I got a couple questions for you guys. I'm just gonna. Peter Schrager ran a mock earlier today. Had the Lions picking Will Johnson, a quarterback out of Michigan, fell all the way to 28. I don't think that's going to happen. But say that did happen, Morgan. You happy with that, or are you saying that's not a fit? We don't need a quarterback. Well, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, is it a short-term fit? Not really, just because could he compete? Yeah, but you just took Terry on in the first, you took Ennis in the second, you pay a DJ Reed, you have a Meek Robertson, you got could your starters in the future be Will Johnson and Terry on at the outside and a Meek Robertson at the nickel? Yeah, that'd be awesome. But as far as right now, I do think it's be a little rich from my blood. And I really like Will. I think he's a really fantastic player. But yeah, I get the best player available approach, but that's I don't know. It's a little extreme in my opinion. What about y'all?
Yeah, I like Will Johnson a lot. He's taller, which we don't really have. He's 6'2", so that gives us a little height there. But at that time, Shamar Stewart was available. Malachi Starks and Ezeraku were all available in that mock. So, man, I don't know. I think you could, if Will Johnson fell that far, I know you could trade out of that spot. Someone would be happy to get him at 28, and then you could possibly get one of the players that you really want. I like Will Johnson. I wouldn't be too upset about it, but also I would rather have Stewart in that spot or Ezeraku, both, I know we don't do best player available in Detroit, but sometimes it's best player available with a hint of need at the same time. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, I like Will Johnson, obviously the Michigan connection, everything like that. I think that would be cool, but not. There's just too many other spots to go in to get a guy like that. But I mean, if they're rating him and they're like, hey, we've got 12 guys that have first round grades. If one of those 12 guys is the only one left when we pick at 28, then I would expect them to take him. And if that's the way the cards fall, that's the way the cards fall.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, we got DJ Reed for basically 2 years. We don't know what we have in Rakestraw. He could be great. He may not be. So I would not shock me to have Brad Holmes pick Will Johnson. And like you said, if he's got a first round grade on him and all the rest are not first round grades, I would see there'd definitely be Brad Holmes would be happy to take him.
He's got an injury right now too. So I mean, he's he missed a lot of the year. He's rehabbing an injury. Who knows if he's even ready to go right away? That could also be one of the reasons why he would fall that far.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I haven't heard too much on him, and he didn't. He had the injury, didn't go to the combine, didn't run at the Michigan, did the other drills, but did not run a 40 at Michigan. So who knows what the medicals are on him? But that is a wild card. All right.
I don't know if that's a rehab thing or if that's don't let them find out I run a 4.5.
Yeah.
4.6.
I mean, if you're not going to be at peak, if you're still fighting an injury or something like that, you could understand why he's like, right. I have no benefit to running right here, right now.
Well, the hype and everything
can happen.
Right. Everything that he had around him, the tape and everything like that, there was no reason to.
Yep.
Marvin Harrison didn't want to do any of that stuff, right? He was like, he put enough out there. He doesn't have to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Will Johnson, had he played a full season, all year in Michigan, especially healthy, he's definitely top 10 pick, in my opinion. But, injuries, the want, all that, those come into question there. All right, Lions predictions. How many trades will the Lions make in this draft? Morgan, we'll start with you.
We'll go with a nice, healthy 2.
2 trades. All right. You higher or lower than that, Jacob?
That's actually the same thing. When you just asked that, it popped in my head too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we trade up in the first round, then we trade back later on, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. 2 sounds good. I'll hang with you guys on that. I think that if we stand pat in the first round, I could see us trading up in the second round. Say there's a couple guys, but if we move up in the first round, then I don't think that we move up twice. I just just the way that things are going to fall. Yeah. But I think there's definitely going to be a trade up in the first or second round is how I see it. How about you, Morgan?
I think they're going to move up. I kind of am in agreement just because I think hopefully it won't cost too much just because there is a lot of uncertainties past like a certain pick. Like people have said it's like 15 or whatever. So maybe it's not as expensive to move up into like the top 20s or like the late teens and get the guy they want. So yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, could also be the other way around, though, where, the team's like, hey, I don't know who they're after. It's way harder to read where these guys are going. So they might be less receptive to trading back. If whoever they like is up there coming up soon,
Yeah, I think it's one of those. I still think if Brad Holmes, if there's a guy that he has a first round grade on and he's available, I know 23 and 24 are touchy because they're inner division, but say they're in that range at 22 to 25. He has no problem going up and getting his guy. And frankly, I'm okay with that. I just don't want to give up too much. We need to have some cheap rookies on rookie contracts for us to keep moving this thing forward. All right, Jacob, how many quarterbacks can be drafted in the first round?
I'm going to say 2. I know most of the mocks as they're going, keep going higher and higher, but I just think Cam Ward and then probably Shadur Sanders. Maybe Jackson Dart comes in late. That's, there's some mock drafts that have Jackson Dart just going I think number 9 to the Saints or just going really high. I forget. There was just one that came out where it was 4 quarterbacks. I think they had Milroe going to the Steelers.
Yeah.
Obviously, quarterback's a huge position of need. It's an important one, but with this quarterback class, I don't know. I don't see it. I'm thinking that 2 go in the first round. There was the whole thing. I just keep going back to the Malik Willis thing. He's at the draft. All these mocks have him going so high and everything like that, and then he's just free falling round 3.
Yeah, I mean that was line straight up for JMO at that point. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, here we're going up to get Malik Willis," and I was scared. Crap.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, that's funny.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking 2. I think Cam Ward. I think Shadur Sanders.
All right, Morgan, where are you at?
2 if people were smart, but I think it's going to end up being 3 just because some team will be like, we can make Jackson Dart work. And I'm tempted, someone might get really crazy about Milroe, but I think he's going to end up, like Jacob said, round 2 or round 3, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not as many as most years.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be 3 at least. And
what, 3 then? You got Jackson
think it's going to be Dart. I think Dart's going to be the 3rd one. I just don't see Milroe going. But also, I never saw Tim Tebow going in the first round, and some team maybe just be in love with Milroe's athletic skills and just thinks that he's...
There was a reason for that, wasn't there?
Yeah. Well, yeah, 100%. And the same thing, Browns also traded up for Johnny Football. So, those
teams
like
make
that will
dumb
happen.
Decisions when they're under pressure.
And also, I can see someone trading up at the very back end of the round. Say they wanted Milroe, and they were going to draft him in the second round. Let's say the Browns like Milroe or whatever. They could trade up, just to get that 5th-year option. So that's always, in the thought process of why a quarterback could jump at the back end of the first round. So you could jump it up to 4 with that thought process. But I think the way that drafts run recently, I think at least 3 quarterbacks are going to go.
That would be the only thing that would make sense to me is another one going late by somebody trading back up in there. Then I can kind of get it. They got the 5th-year thing and everything, but I just not impressed overall. I just don't see it happening.
Yep. All right.
But, there could be 4 or 5, whatever. Draft Quinn Ewers in the first round and do whatever.
Just keep going. Just the whole 32 quarterbacks.
Hey, the more that go before 28, the better our odds are to get who we want. So
exactly,
let them all do whatever.
Yes. That's exactly what happened last year and why Terrion slipped, right? All those quarterbacks just kept going and just pushing the players that, we could benefit from down. Yeah, that's what my hope was. 4 quarterbacks get drafted before Lions and then a couple of the tight ends, Loveland and Warren. Just push those push those edge guys or whoever down to us. All right, where is the draft? When the trajectory of the draft is going to change on a team? Picking early or something that's they're going to have a player that wasn't mocked. Where do you think that starts at? Where do you think the real draft starts at? I think the first 3 players are pretty much set. Jacob, do you got a team that's going to make a surprise pick?
I mean, that could go as early as like the Patriots, the Jaguars, the Raiders, like somewhere in that, like those 3 picks could go up in the air, and then other teams' draft boards could change drastically because of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. That's where I'm at too, honestly. I think it's going to be pandemonium 4 through 10 right there. And because no one really knows, I feel like. So,
yes.
Yep.
Yeah. There's players that get mocked early, like in the top 10 picks that, other mocks have them going all the way down to the lines of 28. This draft is pretty crazy, really. I can't remember a draft that's been this nuts, to be honest with you, where players, I could be happy with getting a guy in the first round that, was mocked in the second round, or the opposite, where you get a guy that was mocked to us in the first round that fell all the way to our second round pick. There's just all sorts of crazy stuff that's going to happen. I think that Jaguars are going to do something nuts. They always.
Yeah, there's too many different ways that they could go.
Yeah. Yeah, they could. Man, what if they draft a wide receiver really early on? Right. No one's got him mocked a wide receiver, but I could totally see a wide receiver going there. I'm saying, let's get Trevor Lawrence. You got Liam Cohen in there, right? So you could see McMillan, Tatora McMillan going there, or Golden. I could see that happening.
I think you're too high on Golden.
I'm not saying that I would pick him there. I'm just saying
that's the second time tonight you've mentioned him top 10. Maybe.
Yeah, well, who knows? But yeah, that's our draft. You got anything else that you wanted to bring up about the draft, Jacob?
No, man. I'm excited to be in Detroit tomorrow. Obviously, we got a long time to wait for our pick, but it's going to be a cool vibe. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, it's cool. So I'm sad that you won't be there, Morgan. I would love to hang out with you with the draft and pick your brain as the picks were going.
Well, y'all know you can shoot me a text. I'll just be up the road a little bit and in the suburbs watching in a nice comfy basement. But yeah, we'll have to do it next year. I hope they do it at Allen Park again.
That would be sweet. Have some different way of going. All right, before we take off here, I want to run this AJ Hinch thing. I just love the feel of Detroit sports. So I'm going to run this AJ Hinch audio, and then we could talk about this. So give me a second.
Last fall, you guys are fighting for the playoffs. Lions are playing really well. Last night, your guys were in there watching the Pistons. Yeah. What is it like from your perspective?
Yeah, I like that big picture question. So I love where Detroit sports is at. I mean, and it's a blast being a part of a number of teams who are bringing thrilling sports moments to this city. That the city deserves it. These fan bases, which majority of them overlap, right, in different seasons and at different times of the year, all get to enjoy these thrilling moments. And we quickly become Lions fans and Pistons fans and Wings fans when we join the city. And I love that our players are all in on it. They're all making plans to go on Thursday. We have an off day. We'll have a strong contingency there. I'm going to be there because when you're all in on the city, these moments matter. These moments are remembered by fans and by players, and these experiences stand out specifically here in Detroit because of how cool of a sports town this is. I mean, I've seen it now in firsthand because we've played in playoff games, but I feel it in the winter during the Lions season. I'm feeling it during the Wings season. I'm feeling it during this Pistons run, and pretty proud to be part of the fabric of this city in on the sports side.
Getting goosebumps. What's your thoughts when you hear something like that, Morgan?
It's just cool, man. And it's cool to see, I know AJ Hinch isn't from here, but a lot of people claim to be a sports town. You know what I mean? Like other cities. And I know they are. I know everybody loves their sports, but certain towns, it means even more. And Detroit is 100% one of those towns, man. Everyone cares. You feel it. when the Lions are like ripping and roaring, now you like go around, everybody and their mama's got Lion stuff on. People got the flags out. You know, like my wife and I went on a walk today in the neighborhood. We live on the east side of Detroit, and everybody's got like Tiger stuff on their porch, you know, like, you know, the flag out, maybe like a sign, you know, everyone's wearing their Old English D hat. So it's cool to see AJ Hinch feel that, because it is, man, it's special. Like the arena tomorrow night is going to be crazy. Tonight, as y'all are watching this, that Pistons game 3 in Detroit, I can't wait. So it's cool to see everybody, and everyone's good now too. Like the Lions are a top tier team. Pistons are a really young playoff team. The Tigers looking like one of the better teams in baseball so far this season. So yeah, it's awesome.
I get goosebumps thinking about it, and I like when all of us can pull together and root for something. Like you could just feel the city together on that. And you know, Morgan, you were at the Lions playoff game with the Rams, right? And that, you know, the Pistons game on Thursday is going to have that feel. It's going to have that same feeling, and, you know, smaller arena. It's going to be really lit in there. And I really wish I could be there, but it's nice that he's talking like the Tiger players are going to be there. They got the day off tomorrow. You know, the Lions off-season program happened. There's going to be tons of Lions players there. Amon-Ra's already stated that he's going to be there. You know, it's very cool to just be a part of that. And Detroit is hands down the best sports city in America. And I know it's easy for me to say that because this is who I root for, but no one feels one with their sports teams like Detroit. We have all 4 major sports. It's
all downtown.
All downtown, all right there.
Special atmosphere, man. Within several blocks of each other, really.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just love downtown Detroit, man.
Yes, sir. Me too.
Everything about it. Detroit versus everybody.
Yeah. I just like when we can all root for something together and just feel like that togetherness. I just like that community feeling. I like everybody pulling in the same direction. So it's hard for some of the Lions stuff that was coming out earlier where people wanted us to spend more in free agency. Felt like last year we were all pulling in the same direction for the most part. This year, the Lions fan base seems a little more fractured, which is a little difficult for me to be a part of. But when you look at like the Pistons and the Tigers are for real. I mean, we're into a good part of the season. This is not a fluke. This is a good baseball team. And Reese Olson, who pitched today, is probably pitching the best out of all the Tigers pitchers. And I'm including Skubal in that. Skubal's been awesome, but Reese has been very consistent this year.
Right.
Love to hear it.
Yeah. So I just love the AJ Hinch, who's not from around here, is getting it. He's in on it. And when I look at like all the teams that have turned around, Dan Campbell, awesome coach, awesome leader. AJ Hinch, awesome coach, awesome leader. I'm not as familiar with basketball, but Bickerstaff seems to have done,
Wonders.
a lot. And just he definitely has his players back. He is full of emotion on that sideline. He has his players' backs, and they feel that. And people will play hard if you have their back. And hopefully the Red Wings figure out their coaching and get this going, because it would be awesome to have all 4 of us in the playoffs in 1 year. It would be amazing.
Absolutely.
It wasn't that long ago that all of our teams were terrible. Pistons were real bad. Tigers were looking real bad for many years in a row. Lions, we know the struggles that they've had. And the Red Wings were in that down cycle after, a long playoff run. It seems like it's just flipped. It's flipped, and this is just an amazing run that we're on. I love it. And Michigan football is about to be back too. So, and that's going to be awesome.
The resurgence of the Detroit sports scene.
Amen.
Love it. Yep. So, all right. I think we've kind of exhausted our time and our patience of our listening audience. So we're gonna move on out of here. Morgan, anything you're working on for Pride Detroit? I know you said you're gonna write some stuff up for the draft. Are you doing some draft profiles or something like that after on the players that we pick?
So we have a bunch of stuff coming out for each pick that happens. We do it every year. So definitely look at prideofdetroit.com for all of that. Miko and I will have video reactions after each night. So check out the Pride of Detroit YouTube channel. They'll definitely have the live streams going both on Twitch and YouTube. for every day. So if you like that kind of thing, that's fun. Go ahead and tap into either of those, Pride of Detroit at Twitch or YouTube. And you can always check us out there, and I'll be excited to get these picks in because I like to look at film once we've drafted somebody. I hate spending a bunch of time on a prospect for them to end up on the Packers. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, right.
It's a little easier for me to digest once they're a draft pick, and I'm like, all right, I can dive in and see how they're going to fit into the roster.
Yeah. I know Jeremy's like that too. Jeremy Reisman just would rather see it afterwards and spend his time wisely.
Jeremy's the most like that. Jeremy's the most like that. He does not like to, which I get it, you know. Yeah.
So Jacob and I, like we had talked about earlier, are going to be at Ford Field. We are going to try to go live inside there just to give you a feel. We're not going to stay on very long, but we're kind of just try to see if we can go live inside just to give everyone a feel of what it's like to be in Ford Field. It is exciting. And hopefully it's a pick that we can all get behind. Being in there for the Jahmyr Gibbs pick, it looks genius now, but there were plenty of upset people inside Ford Field when that Jahmyr Gibbs pick happened, and the mood did not get any better when Jack Campbell got picked at 18. I can tell you, but you know it's going to be a fun atmosphere, and I'm looking forward to hanging out with my buddy Jacob. We don't get to do that much at sports events, so this will be kind of cool. Yeah, I'm excited about that, and of course we'll have the Pistons game either on our phone or on a TV nearby, I'm sure.
I will be locked in.
Yep. All right. So, all right, Morgan, thanks again for joining. It's always a good time, and I appreciate your perspective on everything and your knowledge and everything. You do a great job, and you're always welcome back here. You know that.
Appreciate it,
For
guys.
Jacob, I'm Jason. Let's go Lions.